right here in the FrunchRoom. MarlowKubic in the FrunchRoom. I'm going solo right now. Wife, the other day, we were going to shoot some shows and we were just a little burnt out. So here I am, just catching up for This is the Good Life. Cake and beer. What better than cake and beer? And I have to just say hello to all the porch drinkers. They're having a rough year. This weather, I'm actually loving this spring. And I'm going to date the show because it is May. And we're coming up on Memorial Day. And usually here in the Midwest, Chicago area, it goes from February to hell. Yes, to hell. But this year, we're having a nice, mild spring. Kind of cool, actually, but I'll take it. Because I kind of like the cold weather. Don't get me wrong, I love hot weather. But here, when I'm trying to do lawn work and the hot and humid thing starts, it's a little tough. So I'll take the coolness. If I want vacations, which I like to go warm places on vacations, both my wife and I, my own person, Yoko, Count Marlow. We love to go to warm places, Key West, Las Vegas, something like that. Something inexpensive. We did the Caribbean. I have to say it's nice. The flight was a little long. We went to the Dominican Republic. We didn't care for it all that much. I don't know why. I guess because we stayed in a resort, and we've stayed in many resorts before. Mexico and a couple places in Mexico. I can't remember where else. But this one just felt more like a fortress of sort, kind of like we were trapped. And I don't like that feeling at all, because the same goes for these cruises. All our friends want to get us to go on these ships, the cruises, the boat cruise. And I've been on boats quite often as a young adult, small boats, speed boats. Went water skiing. My brother-in-law had a boat. His father had a boat. My brother-in-law had a sailboat. My friends had boats, speedboats. And never really was apt to getting seasick. And in my travels playing in the orchestra, when I was touring with this orchestra in the 90s, we used to go to Europe quite often. And certain parts, especially the Netherlands, they got to get more bridges up there. I think they're getting more. Or channels. I'd rather take everyone did a channel. Yeah, I'd rather go through a channel. Well, channels freak me out too. But bridges, yeah, but we have to take ferries. For example, coming from the White Cliffs of Dover, yes, in the UK, across to France, you have to take this ferry. It was kind of a tub. Back then, in Europe, everyone was smoking, but back then in the 90s, every commonplace was everyone smoked. So it was odd because you'd get on this boat, and man, it was windy there for some reason. We went on this ferry quite often. This is before they had the channel from France with the train and all that stuff. What about if that springs a leak? Nervous. I get nervous traveling. You put your life in the hands of somebody you don't even know. You don't even know. You won't take a sip of water from a stranger. You're wiping the top of the can. Here you get on a boat, a plane. You don't even know who's flying it. Guy could have had a bad day. Maybe he lost his house. He lost his ass in Las Vegas. And we just go on, yeah, let's go. Okay. Take the whole family, bring them on. Who's driving? Who's piloting? I'm sorry. So we go on this ferry, and first of all, you walk on, and I was a smoker back then. You know how it was when you went, say you took one of those metro lines back in the day. I used to live on the East Coast. We used to go up to Connecticut, take those commuter trains, and they had the smoking car. I'm like, 2 hours on the train, I'll go have a smoke. Now, guaranteed, I was smoking at this time. Then you walk into the smoking car, it's like, horrible. Everything's piss yellow, the nicotine yellow. It always cracks me up when people want to paint their living room. What color? Oh, it's nicotine yellow. Oh, you mean piss yellow. No, just paint it white or pick a color. But that's how it is. You go on a smoking car and a train. Well, this was how the ferry was. So like I said, You get on the ferry, nicotine, and then you get that stuff they put in the toilets, that blue shit. I don't know what it's called, but it stinks. So you get the nicotine and the blue crap from the toilets on the ferry. And then this thing's honking on diesel fumes. So that blend alone, diesel fumes, the blue crap they put to sanitize the toilets, and the nicotine stench, plus everyone smoking on top of that. And then the wind's at a strong, like 40 knots. I don't even know what knots, 40 miles an hour, 50 miles. So this thing's listing the whole way across the channel. That's when I'm sitting on the boat going, and my bandmates are like, you want to have a drink? I go, no. See, and the funny thing is on planes, boats, anything like that, I don't like drinking. I remember when I first started flying, I'd have a few cocktails, but I get a little lightheaded. Not really airsick or anything, just lightheaded. And I want to be on top of the game. In case the wing falls off, maybe there's a fire, I have to open that hatch. I don't want some drunk sod sitting next to the escape hatch. Plowed. Half plowed. I want someone who's awake and ready to roll if this plane goes down. So that's the whole thing about going on these cruises. See, I don't want to go on a cruise because I feel trapped. I like to stay on land. Because on land, you have options. When you're on a boat, very few options. Everyone you should say. I know, first of all, when you look at these, it's not like the Queen Mary. That was kind of low rider, still scary. But you see these cruise ships, they're 75 stories tall. Now, I'm not an engineer or a designer, but it just doesn't look right. It looks top heavy. And I have learned as a young child, top-heavy things tip over. And I know they have the ballast, but if that goes out of whack or the pilot of the boat is having a bad day, maybe he tied one on. His girlfriend told his wife they're having an affair. He's losing the house. He's not getting the kids. He's losing everything. He's taking everybody down with the damn boat. This is why both my wife and I will not go on cruises. And everyone, they got pools. I go, they got pools on land. They got bands on land. They got buffets on land. Plus, the rooms are a little larger on land. And when you're on land, you don't sink or tip over or get some weirdo disease. If someone comes on there with some weirdo disease, same in a plane. I've about had it with flying. I force myself to get on because I can't stand driving. I just hate traveling, and we've been through this before in the FrunchRoom. But the good life, cake and beer, yes. We have to say hello to all the phantom banshees out there listening. They're at the Oxbow, and I appreciate it so much. Chilly this spring. Yeah, we have to keep the shawls out extra long because usually, like I said, in Chicago area, it goes from winter to hell. But this is a nice, long transition. Spring, you have the heater on, the air conditioner on, the heater on, the air conditioner on, the heater on, the air conditioner on. In also, but I'll take it. So, all right, here in the FrunchRoom, where we have the Walter Brennan boxed set. And for some reason, I don't have it with me. But here, broadcasting to you above a finely finished basement. Yes, we all love the basements. The basements have gone to the wayside with the new housing developments. It's kind of a shame. The basement used to be the focal point of my father's existence, and here at our house, it's the focal point of my existence. That's our area, but I have a lot of my crap down there. And yes, we're broadcasting to you above a finished basement. Ours doesn't have the knotty pine, but we have a fine Polynesian paneling downstairs, handcrafted, I should say. So as we move on here in the FrunchRoom, I just have to say hello to Ange, Cochise, and many of you that listen online on YouTube and in other places or where available. We're trying to push this show somewhere. So from my old show, Region After Dark, I used to have a late night show on WJOB for about 3 years. 4 nights a week, 2 hours a night. I think it was from 10 till 12. Though we moved, the hours moved occasionally through the 3 years that I was on air there. And actually, when I get my wife in here, I want her to do some Barbra Streisand movie reads. She's pretty good at a Streisand impersonation. So we're going to look forward to that. And we have the TFR men's satchel fashion. I say satchel, it's satchel, I know. But I like to say satchel. I love the long A. Banana sandwich. That was taken from a comedian. I can't remember his name. I want a sandwich. He wears a satchel. No, but we do have the TFR satchel men's fashion show coming up. We did shoot it, but I have to bring the wife in on that so we could comment on that men's satchel fashion show. So that's going to be coming up. Back in the day on Region After Dark, late night radio on WJOB, I used to do these closings, and I've always had a closing every night, just something that I made up. Some of it was gibberish. It all has an underlying meaning, so it's kind of the poetry that I do. It's kind of a poetic moment. I used to do these poetic moments with yours truly, Rick Kubic, late night radio. Everyone thought I was talking gibberish. It really isn't. You have to listen, and you need your synonym finder to actually make sense of it. So I've compiled these through 3 years. As you can see here, this is just one sheet. There are several sheets. I don't have them. I have them all back there in my file, but you can see these are several sheets. And every night for 2 years, or 3 years, I compiled this. So I kept them. Every day when I come home, I would go back on the chat board that we had at the time, and I would post that closing as well as reading it. Here's just a few, and then I'm going to cut off for this morning. Yes, it is morning. My God, you can see I have my coffee. I love coffee. And one thing about coffee, my father, now I'm going to get to these readings. My mother and father, I didn't drink coffee not until I moved to New York when I was around 21 years old. And even when I moved to New York, I really didn't drink coffee. It just didn't appeal to me until I met a friend in New York City, and she had this French press thing. I don't use it here. I just use a drip. We use a drip here. And I had that. I said, this is freaking good. That's when I started drinking coffee, probably about 23 years old. Of course, New York coffee, you ordered regular. Regular in New York means cream and sugar, just so you know that. But my parents used to use that percolator, the glass thing. It was like a glass pot with the, that percolating sound. And they always had Hills Brothers in the can. And I just never liked it. It seemed a bit, I don't know. It didn't taste coffee enough. And my mom would dilute it with water. After she poured the cup of coffee, she'd dilute it with water and a bunch of cream. Milnat, if you remember that, a brand. I don't know what that is, but they used it for recipes too. But my coffee, we buy it. We buy whole bean, and I grind it here, fine powder. I like my coffee strong. So there you go. With a tad, just a smidgen of the phony cream liquid. Just a smidgen, just to make it a little tawny looking. So there's my coffee talk for today. My closings from Region After Dark. I'm going to read you a few, and then we're going to close it down here in the front room. So here's one. The claw-hatched platypus on a tightrope with constricted chisels shall impede dormancy and maneuver all hinge markers laterally. That's one there. That's from yours truly, Rick Kubic, Poetic Moments. I'll give you a couple others. Propagating the underside. For the stationary collectors arouse the tickatoo and grasp all the fine linens, yearning to the quiet eve. That's a late night one. And I'll give you one more and then we'll shut her down. For the froth may cluster to the uninvited Robotorian source, which can in fact infect all with scurf sediment, displeasing one's interweave. Thanks a lot for joining me here in the front room. We'll see you next time, along with my wife, Kat Marlow, my own person, Yoko. You guys take care.